Well, hey, C6 fam, thanks for tuning in and watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. At the bottom of the video is our brand. Actually, it's our brand of C6, so you can just swipe over that C6 and hit subscribe. And if you like what you hear, make sure you tell others about us. So, but again, thanks for tuning in. I don't know if a lot of you have already watched Kimberly's two-part series, Kimberly Before Shay, but it's my turn. Shay Before Fancy. And we're going to do something a little different than Kimberly did. We're actually going to do kind of interview style, and we have a girl that helps us out around the house. She's our go-to girl for everything, and so she's just going to ask me some questions, and I'm just going to answer those questions. And just to be upfront and honest, it's just this was my idea to do this, and then it come my turn to do it, and I wasn't real excited about doing this. I'm not. I'm a real private person, and I don't really like to share. I don't talk a whole lot. But here I am doing this, so just show me a little grace and mercy, and I hope you enjoy it and you learn a little bit about me and about my life leading up to Fancy. So I'm going to give it to Lauren.
So Shay is a different name. How did your parents come up with that? And what was life like growing up on a ranch?
Well, actually, Shay is a nickname. My actual name is Shaylor Copeland III, which I say Shaylor. It's spelled Shalor, but if you ask my dad what his name was, it's Shaylor. So I have a good friend that would always laugh that that we have the same name, but we say it different. So, anyways, but my dad's name was Shaylor, and actually my great granddad's name was Shaylor, and I don't really know how. It was actually my dad that come up with calling me Shay, I guess because we were both Shaylor. So everyone's just called me Shay, and it's just stuck. And growing up on a ranch, I loved growing up on a ranch. It was a great experience. I knew that I wanted my family to kind of grow up in that ranching lifestyle, at least having some livestock and horses. I grew up in a town that was about an hour west of Fort Worth, and um, we just had a great time and rode horses and took care of the cattle. And I just remember, twice a year we would work the cattle, and all the cowboys and stuff would come together. And I remember when I was a little kid, when my great grandparents were alive, they had this. These are just memories that I had. They had this big dinner bell, this huge bell in the backyard, and then when lunch was ready, someone would ring that big dinner bell, and everybody would just stop what they were doing and go inside my great grandparents' house and just have a homemade cooked lunch. And that's just, I just remember that how awesome that was. And really growing up on our ranch, when I was a little kid, we raised sheep. We had lots and lots of sheep, and I just remember everyone coming together to shear the sheep, and I remember riding the sheep around. And then probably when I was about Memphis's age, maybe 7 or 8, we got out of the sheep business and went into the cattle business, and we've been in the cattle business ever since. But I grew up, really riding horses and just living the ranch life, hunting, fishing. Um, really what I thought, where I thought that I learned how to be a man, what a man should be like, just that rough country living. And um, this is where I, really got my love for horses and for riding and competing. Both sides of my family, my mom and dad, were in the ranching business. So we actually lived on my dad's side of the family. A funny story is because we all lived on kind of all on the same land, not close to each other. I mean, you could ride a horse and get to each other's property pretty quick, but we lived on the same road as my uncle, which he was actually 5 miles down the road. And I don't know if a lot of you people watching, what a party line is. And so, what it is you're tied to the same phone line. So when I was a kid, if I was on the phone with my friends or whatever, my uncle would pick up the phone and say, "Shay, you need to get off the phone. I need to use the phone." So I thought that was pretty funny, especially when I was talking to girls on the phone, and my uncle would get on the phone and act like an idiot and tell me to get off the phone. And so, but I think that ended probably, maybe junior high. Then we got our own phone line, so we didn't have to get off the phone for when my uncle needed to use it, or vice versa. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed growing up on a ranch. Um, I just there's a lot of great memories, and I just knew that one day that I would want my family to kind of see what that life was like. Growing up on a ranch, we did lots of cool stuff. Went camping and did lots of things with my friends. But I had a younger sister. She's about 3.5 years younger than me, and she's just we got along really well. I guess we fought like most brothers and sisters do, but we actually became good friends as we got older, and still are really good friends. Um, she was a shy, growing up. She was real shy and didn't talk much, but loved music. Loved music. I just remember her always being in a room listening to music, which my whole family, we love music. We love listening to music. We love country music, which I think I drove my parents crazy because I listened to everything. Growing up, I listened to all kinds of music, but for the most part, we love country. My dad actually he, he thought that he could play the fiddle, so that was hilarious. We wouldn't let him play in the house because it was pretty bad. We made him go to the garage and play his fiddle. But yeah, I had a younger sister, and um, we had a good relationship. We didn't really fight a lot. Um, and then one thing that was great about my family, um, was everybody loved to play games on holidays. Anytime that we would all be together, we would play cards and dice and spoons and just all kinds of games. And everyone was real competitive. It would get pretty serious. And so, and that's what I loved. And I was, kind of talking to Kimberly, about everything. And I spent a lot of time with aunts and uncles and grandparents, and they were just real instrumental in my raising. and because I did spend a lot of time with them, especially during the summers, and so it was just a fun time always being a kid. But yeah, that was life as a small child.
So you lived in a small town. What was that like, and what did y'all do for fun?
Well, yeah, I did grow up in a small town. Um, it was great. You know, everybody knew your business. So if you got in trouble, your parents knew it really fast. And so, but I had a good head on my shoulders. I never did get in a lot of trouble. You know, one thing early on is I love I had a competitive spirit all the way growing up. Like I love to compete, and I love sports. And one thing about being a ranching family and being able to ride horses and things like that, we competed in a rodeo event called team roping. And in team roping, there's two people. One's a header, one's a heeler, and one person ropes the head of a steer and then he pulls it across, and the person that's behind ropes the feet, which he's called the heeler. And so I competed in that. Oh, I mean, I could probably ride a horse before I could even walk. And so my whole family, um, grandparents, aunts, uncles, my dad, everybody competed in this team roping event. And so as a kid growing up and all the way, well, even into my adult life, that is something that we did as a family, and that we went to events and made weekends out of doing this. And that's some of my greatest memories and fondest memories, and I'm still great friends with people that I met doing this, and older people. And you know, one thing about my parents is, you know, they had a lot of friends, and that they did a lot of things with, and it wasn't just with the team roping. It's, you know, they liked to party. My parents liked to party, and they had all these parties and stuff. And so I was around a lot of adults. You know, and one thing that I was able to do is communicate with adults, and I always have been, because I was around adults. You know, and and that's one thing that I appreciate. Um, I, my parents for putting me in, I guess, in situations like that, so I was able to better communicate, especially when I wasn't around people that I knew. But that carried on throughout. You know, just that drive to compete and want to do things carried throughout my whole um, living in this small town, because I competed in just about every sport that you could possibly be in. Which, as a young age, the only thing that I could compete in until I got to junior high was baseball, and I really had a passion and a love for baseball. I just loved everything about baseball. I loved the smell of a new glove and the leather, and just how the ball felt in your hand, and just swinging the bat. There was just something that I just loved about baseball, and that love just kind of just has been with me. Well, it still is. I still have that love, and I'm just carrying that over to our kids. But yeah, I competed in everything. I played football. I played basketball. Um, I I ran track. I played tennis. I played golf. I ran cross country. I did anything and everything that I could do to compete, and because I just love to compete. But you know, just kind of want to just kind of go back and just kind of share with you, um, you know, something that was, you know, as I later on in life, as I thought, well, why did you do all those things? Why is it that you know, why didn't you just do a few things? And I remember, and as I think about it, as a small child, probably Memphis's age, I can remember feeling like I was missing something, that I needed to be doing something to feel what I was missing, and kind of to describe it, it felt like an anxious feeling, that I had. And it's not like I had it all the time, but I would feel it from time to time. And I just didn't know what it was. And so, I did feel it with things and doing things and sports. And through growing up, when sports wouldn't cut it, I tried to fill it with partying with my friends, in which that's something that we did in a small town. We partied and drove up and down the road. We drank, and I also try to fill it with girls. And I dated a lot. And you know, as you're watching this, please show me mercy and don't judge me. Is that I thought women as they were, you know, just something that I could play with. I guess you could say they were objects of my affection, and I just used them and abused them. And as a father of a daughter, um, that doesn't make me feel good to say that. And so, and I hate that that was that way, but it was something that was inside me that I was trying to fill it with a person. And I'm just saying that because this is how I was feeling, and we'll get back to that. Um, but yeah, that's what we just, there was a lot of, being in ranching families, which, I mean, the men in my family are real true blue cowboys. And so when you have cowboys in your family and you also have alcoholism in your family, that can feed a lot of drama. And I had quite a bit of, there were several alcoholics in our family. If you ask my dad if he was an alcoholic, he would probably say no. And but I would probably say he was. And I give him a little slack and mercy and just kind of tell you, Wednesday nights, we knew that was his drinking night. He was going to drink on Wednesdays, and he was going to drink on Fridays and Saturdays. And I give him a little slack and mercy. My dad, he was actually a veteran. He was a Marine. He went to Vietnam. He received a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. And I could tell you a story that would just, um, you just in disbelief. It's some of the stories that he could share. And so I have a lot of respect for him. He was my hero growing up, and he still is. And he made a lot of mistakes, but so did I, and I still do. So I show him a lot of grace and mercy for the mistakes that he made for me growing up, and because I honor him and respect him. And so, but yeah, there were a lot of alcoholics, aunts, uncles, my dad, grandparents. And so like I said, when you get cowboys and alcohol and throw some women into the mix, uh, there's a lot of case for drama. And there was a lot of fussing and fighting, and I've always had the mentality is I'm not a victim, is that I'm not going to let that ever make me not be who I am and make good decisions and use that as a crutch to not be an excellent person and strive for excellence, because I just feel like whatever happens to you in your life, good or bad, is that should be a platform for excellence to help you make better decisions later on in life. So I appreciate, um, as weird as that sounds, I appreciate the bad decisions that people made in my life, because it's actually helped me be a better man, be a better father, be a better husband, because of the bad decisions that people made in my life, in which they made good decisions too. They showed me good things too, and so. But yeah, that was kind of life, like kind of living in a small town, and kind of what we did. There was actually I could tell you tons and tons of stories of crazy things that happen, and barroom brawls, and just crazy, crazy things.
What was high school like? And after high school, did you want to be a rancher?
Actually, just kind of, it was pretty much the same thing, just competing in sports, and and chasing girls. And once I chased all the girls in my town, we'd go to other towns and chase the girls. And just you know, on that subject is, I had an aunt that lived in another town, and she was like more of a mom than an aunt, and she took me to church all the time, and I welcomed going to church. Um, but I went to church because there were more females that I didn't know. And that's really the reason that I went to church. I wasn't really trying to learn about God, about Jesus, and just kind of tell you, my family. I mean, the only time I ever saw anyone in my family, my immediate family, go to church was for a funeral when someone died. Is really, and no one that I can recall ever talked about God or about Jesus except this aunt that I was talking about. And so, I guess she introduced me to God, to Jesus. But it wasn't a point in my life that I was ready to listen, or thought that, I mean, I knew that I was wild as March hare, and I just thought that I was just being hypocritical being there in the first place. And so that's kind of what high school was like, which actually, just kind of tell you how small we were, which we were a small class. I graduated with 10 kids in my class. And so that's pretty small, which, through my school years, it fluctuated from, I mean, I think at one time we had 17 at one time. And then it just fluctuated from back and forth. And then it ended up that we graduated with 10, which just kind of something that people may not know. I actually was a valedictorian of my class. And then um, and then I didn't, honestly, at that point in my life, I guess, in high school, I didn't want to do anything with ranching, and I really wanted to get away from the small town as fast as I possibly could, and which led me to Mississippi, because the first college coach that showed any interest in me, I said, sold. I'm there. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of this little town, and all the drama that went into this little town. And so, yeah, that's what it was. That's what high school was like. Which obviously, there's, like I said, there's more stories, and that probably don't need to be on a video.
Give us a little insight about what happened after college.
Well, just kind of tell you, well, I went to college. Went to college in Mississippi. I played baseball, and I went into my first year. Actually, I went in cocky, because whenever you're in a little pond, and you're somewhat talented, you're kind of the big fish in a little pond. Well, then I got into a bigger pond, and I wasn't such a big fish, and so I kind of got knocked down a little bit because I didn't do as well as I thought I would, and it hurt, and it didn't feel good, and I didn't really get to play my freshman year. And so it was after my freshman year that I really focused in on. It's where I started my weight training, and I really focused in on lifting weights. And I just got to credit a buddy of mine that really helped me with that. That was on the baseball team. He was really instrumental on really finding my passion, my love for lifting weights, and being in the workout room, and I just started enjoying it. And so I got really strong. I I became one of the strongest players on the team, one of the fastest players on the team, and just really had a new confidence about me. And so that sophomore season started, and it was actually the fifth game of the season. I was playing left field. The ball gets hit down the line, and took off running and dove for the ball, and then come down wrong, and messed up my left shoulder. And um, so I got up, I caught the ball, got up, threw the ball in. Well, so I got back up, ready to play and I couldn't lift my left arm. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Well, actually, then the ball got hit to me again. Well, I went to raise it, I couldn't lift it, and I actually had to basket catch the ball. So I went into the dugout and was like, Coach, I can't lift my arm. So it was that that game, and my baseball career was basically done. So I went into rehab, and I guess I just went into not depression, just frustration. It's just that all that work and all that time in the weight room and all that extra work, it just kind of went down the tube over this injury because I just never could. And to this day, I still have a messed up left shoulder that I still struggle with. But anyway, so finished out the college. So actually, I stayed through my sophomore year at that college in Mississippi, and then I transferred back to the University of Texas Arlington, and that's where I graduated from and got my degree in business. And then I went to work for a mortgage company. And so then I worked there for a couple years. And at this time, I'm still continuing, just to kind of tell you, I'm still feeling that void. I'm still feeling something is missing. And I'm still trying to fill it with things, which after my baseball career, I really got into playing softball. I think at one point I was playing softball just about every night of the week and playing on a tournament team. And then also I was still partying and still dating a lot. And that's kind of how after college, I mean, that was just basically how my life was after college and continued is just doing anything and everything that I could try to feel what was missing.
What were you thinking when they told you that your dad was sick?
My mom calls me and says, your dad's real sick, and we think something's really wrong with him. And so, this went on, and a lot of tests and everything were being done, and come to find out, my dad had Alzheimer's. He was 56 years old when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so I had to make a choice. Well, and it's really not a choice because 100 out of 100 times I choose family. And so, I mean, that was a hard time in my life. I mean, someone that's your hero, that's like, you think is a man of men, to just get sick like that. So, I moved back to this small town. My great grandparents had passed. My dad's dad had passed, which and so my dad was actually running our family ranch. And when he became sick, and I actually moved into my great grandparents' house. And so I moved back, and it was a blessing. It really was a blessing because I got to spend some really quality time with my dad before he really got sick. Because for about 2 years, I guess, day in, day out, I was with my dad. And we were working cattle and building fence. And, I was training some horses and roping. And it was really, really good um, that I got that time with him. And it was hard. It was a hard time. It was hard to see him go through that. Um, yeah, it was a really hard time in my life. And not only, you know, and and not only that, as whenever you have families and you have land and you have money that um, people want it. They want their piece of the pie. And so not only is my dad sick, but my aunt and uncle have sued me and my mom and dad. So we're going through a lawsuit, and my dad's sick, and I'm trying to help him run this ranch. And so it was just it was just a crazy time in my life, and just chaotic. And so life just continued. I worked on the ranch, which, like I said, it was a blessing that I was there, that I got to spend time with my dad and his last couple of years, I guess, that he was still could think and talk and still knew what was going on, but his mind was slipping, and it was just so hard to see him uh, go through that, and to see, and I just commend my mom. She took care of him for as long as she could. I know that was hard on her, uh, to see him go through that, and just see his health just dwindle. And I don't wish that on anyone, um, to have to go through that or experience that. And I know it's a problem that we're facing right now as a nation, is Alzheimer's. It seems like more and more people are getting Alzheimer's, and I pray that we find a cure, for Alzheimer's. But just continue. I just want just continue. That missing thing is still in there. That void is still in there. So what do I do? So I just want to give you so what do I do? I mean, I've got all this going on, all this stuff happening to me. So I decide I'm going to fire academy. So I got all this, everything's going on. I'm like, hey, I'm going to fire academy, because that's what you do. Is like, whenever you feel like something's missing, you got to find something else. And so I enroll in the fire academy, which, you know what, I commend our first responders. They are, I can't say enough how special of people they are. And I just love our fire departments, our police departments. They're just amazing people. But yeah, I went to fire academy, and I loved fire academy. Loved it. I loved everything about it, all the hard work. And it was more like, I think, if I had to do it all over again, I think I would probably go to the military. And so that's what I loved about the fire department, that everything was militaristic, and the way the military would do things. And I just love that. Well, so I got out of fire academy. Well, then that's when I went to EMT school, and no, did not like EMT school. And that's when I found out that a lot of the fire departments, I mean, that's a lot of things they do. They go on medical calls, and I just felt like it just that just wasn't me. And I did great. I did great at EMT school, and it was great. But I just thought, you know what? I just don't think that this path is me. And really, I was just going to do it while I'm working on the ranch, because I thought, well, you get 24 on, 48 off. I just thought it would be a good opportunity. But again, here I was trying to fill, that hole, that whatever it is that I was feeling, that anxious feeling that I'm missing something and I need to do more to fill it. So, so that was pretty much laid out before I met Fancy.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us the story on meeting Kimberly?
Well, just to kind of tell you, just kind of continue on from, I'm still working at the ranch, and still doing different things. And actually, I joined I had a buddy that lived about 3 hours away from me, and he's like, come play softball with us. And so I joined a softball team that was 3 hours from the ranch. And so I was playing on that team. Well, I'd reached a point, that I was tired of dealing, with stuff at the ranch. I just I'm like, I just didn't know what to do. It was this lawsuit and seeing my dad get worse and worse and worse. And so I was going to move. I just decided I called a buddy to see about getting a job, and I was going to move away. And actually, I was going to move to Houston, Texas. And so um, it was probably, oh, it was 3 or 4 weeks before I was planning on moving. And I told my buddy, I was like, I called my buddy and I said, this is gonna be my last softball game. I can't play anymore. And so I went and played softball. So we played, and then he's like, well, let's go have a drink. And I was like, okay. So him and I, we go out and we go to this. Well, I guess it's a bar, but they serve food there, but it's like a restaurant bar, I guess. And so we're there, and I mean, it wasn't. I mean, we weren't in there 5 minutes, and I put my eyes on Kimberly, and so she was out on the dance floor, doing her little dance, her little unique dance, and so um, she was staring at me, I was staring at her, and I remember some guy some guy comes by me and goes, well, if you don't get out there with that girl on the dance floor, then I'm about to, and starts laughing. And so anyway, I went out there and started talking to her. I asked her if I could buy her a shot, and you know that was really the end to the beginning, because we were inseparable from that point forward. And she always has lots of great stories about her and I, how young she thought I was. She asked me for my ID because she thought I was some college kid, and so that was just she was just really, unbeknownst to me at the time, she was just really an angel that was sent here just for me. And I'd always had a picture of what a woman that I would like, to be with, and Kimberly really fancy is really has been that person. She is that person, and that really, and at that point in my life, which is funny by meeting her, is I had decided that I was never going to get married, that I didn't want to be married, that I was good being single, that I enjoyed being single. I just didn't want the headache of of being married and being with someone, um, just of things in my life and people in my life and their marriages, and just I was like, I don't want that. And so, just kind of, I don't want to drag out our story. A lot of people, if I think we have a video on our channel that you can watch, kind of our love story and just kind of how we came about. But she just really was a blessing to me, and just really just an angel I need in my life, and just her sweetness. That's really what drew me to her. And so, um, which again, I just want to say, and how great Kimberly is, and how awesome she is, and how fantastic she is, and just, um, I couldn't have picked a better person for me. She didn't feel that void, that emptiness that I still was feeling inside.
How did you feel about her already having 2 kids?
Well, and that's something, what's so funny is that I love kids. What's so funny is kids love me too. I love kids, even as a father now, father of four, I've always been their coach and just real involved in everything they do. And I absolutely love kids, but, I'd always thought that I would never be with someone that already had kids. I just thought that I wouldn't be able to do that. And there was just it never, it never bothered me ever with Kimberly. I just had a calmness and a peaceness about me. It just, I don't know. It felt right. And, I loved Walker and Waverly right from the start. Their big personalities and just their zest for life. And it never really, which, I would have thought that it would have been a problem, but it never was. And it was just like, we were an instant family. And and we talk about this, and we never really thought about them as my stepkids. And I don't really think they thought of me as their stepdad. I was just their dad, and they were just my kids. Because a lot of people don't even know. And actually, as we're making the video, I mean, Maverik and Memphis don't even know. They have no clue, and that's just the way that I went into it, and that's the way that I thought about it.
What has life been like since that night?
Well, it's been a ride. It's been our life's like been living on a ranch. It's just crazy and fun, and since that night, there was still a lot of things that happened. Which when I met Kimberly, I had after we had been together for a few weeks, I had decided that I wanted to see that through, and I don't think moving to Houston was the smart thing to do. So I stayed out on the ranch, and because I really needed to deal with my problems anyways. And so, you know, um, things continue to happen, just crazy stuff and drama. And so, but one thing about Kimberly is, and if you watch her story, is that she was introduced to the Lord at an early age, and she accepted Jesus at an early age, and so she knew the Lord her whole life. And so, while I really think that um, the greatest thing about her and I meeting was her introducing me to the Lord and taking me to church and really, um, really speaking into my life. And it was because of her that that I accepted Jesus into my life and into my heart. And I tell the story that I was going through all these things and lawsuits and my dad being sick, and really in my mind thinking that um, I'm gonna lose Kimberly because I'm gonna make mistakes. It's all going on in my mind, and I remember it was an Easter service, and something just resonated with me, what the pastor was talking about. And at this time, Kimberly and I, we lived about a little over 2 hours from each other. And I actually stayed over at her house, and I had to work. That was a Sunday, and I had to be at work on Monday. And I left her house about, I don't know, 4:35 a.m. And it was dark outside, and I was on the road, and no cars are on the road, and I'm thinking about all these things. I'm thinking about the sermon. Everything's just going through my mind as I'm drinking coffee, and it was then that it hit me, and it was like it's like a decision, or the decision I made is that I couldn't do it alone, that I couldn't do it by myself, and that's when I made the decision um, for Christ. And it's that day, and that day only, that that emptiness, that void, that feeling like I need to find something, I need to look for something, it went away. So as you've been watching and you've been listening, so that has been that void had been there my whole life, that emptiness, that hole, and I've been trying to fill it um, for forever. And it was just that one decision that I made that changed my life forever. and I can't. I mean, when I made that decision, I started bawling, crying. I was just crying, 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 crying. I couldn't even drive anymore. I had to pull over. And I mean, I can still remember like yesterday. And it's never came back. Never. Not one time. Now, I've had stress and anxiety, but I've never had that feeling like I felt before I accepted the Lord into my life. And so, and me saying that, I'm not a super spiritual person. I don't do everything right. I curse. I say wrong things. I'm moody sometimes. It's not that when I accepted the Lord that I became a perfect person. That far from it. It's just that, I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you feel that feeling, it's something special when you lose it. And so I just, I now that I think back, I think it's funny. The Lord used a girl to get through to me, and so I'm so thankful that it was Kimberly that was out there on that dance floor that took a chance on this old cowboy and married me, and we've just had just the best life. I mean, we've gone through the ups and downs just like everyone else, but we've always leaned on the Lord, and we've tried to raise our family like that. And we're so blessed, and we're so thankful, and we just love our life. And us starting this channel is we just want people to see what's possible, what can happen. You know, um, when you enjoy your life, and when you make good choices, and when you think the right way, and when you enjoy your family. And so we're thankful. This is a little hard for us, starting this channel. This has been a journey, and there's been lots of arguments about about the videos and about what we should do. And we really hope that you get something from things that we share. And um, but the one thing that I really want to share is when I accepted the Lord. That's been um, the biggest and best decision I ever made in my life. Because no matter what happens in my life, whatever drama that happens in my life, I have the Lord to lean on, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful for Kimberly for being that person to um, help me take that step.
So, for people watching, what is the most important takeaway you would like for them to receive from watching this video?
Well, that was it. That's the biggest thing that I would say. And like I said, I'm not religious. I wouldn't say that I'm not religious. I'm not super spiritual. But it has been the best decision when I asked the Lord into my life. And what's so great is that I really, because of my competitiveness and my willing to compete and do things with excellence, that it's helped me. I read the Bible, and I want to teach my younger kids about the Lord, and and how great that their life is when he's in your life. And so, I mean, that would be the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway that I would like people that watch us, is that we're real and we're not perfect. We make lots of mistakes and lots of things, but we know how to lean on the Lord when because he's always there. He's always calling out to us when we need him.
And that's all the questions.
That's all the questions. Well, that's a little bit of my life in a nutshell, I guess. Obviously, there's a lot more stories and a lot more parts, and um, you know, it, so far it's been a great life and a great ride. And as I'm making this video, it's God forbid something ever happened to me, as is that I want my kids to watch this and smile and be proud of their dad. And so, again, thanks for watching. And again, show me some mercy and show me some kindness. And we want you to comment and what you like, what you didn't like, questions you may have. Share it with others. We want new subscribers to subscribe to our channel. But again, thanks for watching, and we love the C6 fam. Y'all have a great day.